guys, happy January. I guess I never know how to start these lives because it's so awkward. I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried to do these lives before, but it's so weird because normally you're talking to somebody else, and in this case, you're looking at a screen of yourself, and that's all the feedback you get. So anyway, so happy New Year. I'm super excited about this year because last year was pretty awesome, and I'm thinking that this next year is going to be even more awesome. And I'm looking forward to doing these Facebook Lives like every single stinking week. I'm going to get really good about it for you guys and be way more consistent because that'll be awesome. So today, here's what we're going to talk about. Exactly what you need to be doing in your PTA or PTO right now, like what every single PTO leader should be doing. But before we jump into that, let me jump back and introduce myself. I am Christina Heidek. I am a PTA volunteer, just like you. I've been a volunteer for like the last 8 years, and I've done pretty much everything except for treasurer, because that is not my forte. And I am your fearless leader in this superstar leader group. So thank you for joining me. And today, I guess I'm especially excited because 1, it's not so stinking cold. 2, the kids are finally back in school after this bomb cyclone nonsense and the resulting icy days. And 3, we finally hit 3,000 members in the group. That is like stinking amazing. Do you know what 3,000 members means? We've just gotten together all of these brilliant people. And the more people you have in a group, and I would say our group is not really a group, it's more like a community because people chime in and they get asked questions and they get the feedback and support they need. It's really just so awesome. So yay you for being part of this awesome group, for finding it, for joining it, for continuing to stay involved. That's like so awesome. I love it. So super excited about that if you haven't noticed. The other thing I'm excited about is just like the newness of the year. Like it's a chance to do things a little bit differently than you have in the past. It's a chance to look at your goals and see what you did in the past, and do you want to keep doing the same thing, or maybe do you want to change some things? It's just like, I don't know, it's just a fantastic opportunity, and it really doesn't have to be every year. It could be every month, but it's the new year, so we're going to go with, it's an opportunity for the new year. So before I get too much further into the chit chat, 1, I want to tell you what I've been loving on in life right now. So I don't think I've ever shared this in this group, but I was watching The West Wing pretty consistently, and I finished that up, and then I was like, there's a hole in my heart. Because I can't be volunteering all the time, my friends, right? That's just not possible. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Lovesick. If you haven't watched that on Netflix, give it a try. It's a really funny show, and I'm really digging it. So, when you're clipping box tops, something to do. Can't watch it when the kids are around. Not exactly appropriate for kids, but it's an adult show, so enjoy it, you adults. So let's go ahead and get started in with what I think every single PTO leader needs to be doing right now, and that's in January. So we're talking, it's like mid-year. We have, let's see, for my kids' school, we have school now through right before Memorial Day. So that's like, 5 months? So yeah, it's like, it feels like a little bit more than half the school year, but it's really just half the school year. But still, a ton has to get done between now and May. And I know a ton of things are planned for my own PTAs, so I bet you're in the same boat. And it's kind of like a yay boo situation. So it's yay, the year is halfway done, but boo, there's a heck of a lot that needs to get done in this spring semester. So let's talk about what I think you should be doing. So first, as your executive board as a whole, so whether you call it your executive board or just your officers, you really need to assess where you are with your annual goals. Like, how you doing on whatever you're working towards. And I really do hope that you do have some annual goals, because that can kind of dispel some of the monotony that is associated with PTAs and PTOs sometimes. Like sometimes it just feels like, okay, it's back to school now. We do all the back to school stuff, and there's a membership drive, and oh, here comes the fall, and so we do our fall fundraiser. Oh, and now it is, early spring, and so we need to be thinking about officers for next year already. And it just kind of feels like you're on this hamster wheel of PTO volunteering and PTO leadership, and sometimes it can be like a lot. So goals, annual goals really help to break that down. So that way each year you're working towards something different. And each year you're driving your group to reach something new. It could be a new piece of playground equipment. It could be that you want to do more family events than you did the year before, and specifically you want to bring in, an astronomy, I don't even know what it's called. We had like a science unit. It's not really a unit, but this place that would bring in like a inflatable sky so you could see all of the constellations. It was really cool. But maybe you want to do like a different kind of field day this year. But whatever you're doing, make it unique each year so that you're working towards a goal and it's discernible and you can tell whether you're making progress to that goal, right? Because that's what true goal setting is. It's not just saying we want to raise $50,000 this year, but we don't know how we're going to get there and we don't know what we're going to use the money for. That's wrong. All right, the second thing the executive board needs to take into consideration, look at the calendar for the rest of the year. Are there any conflicts? Did other groups pop things on the calendar? Did your community pop things on the calendar where you're like, maybe it's not a good idea to have, that family fun event that we're going to spend, $500 on at the same time as this other big community event, right? Because people are going to have to make decisions about where they're going to be spending their time, and maybe they're not going to come to your PTO event, and that would be really sucky if you're going to drop $500 on it, right? So look at those things. Don't just look at what's going on in your own school. Look at the schools in the area and look at the community events too. You should always be taking those into consideration when you're planning things, just to save yourself some headaches and disappointment, right? Because putting on events, it isn't easy. Not everybody can do it. And so the amount of effort that it takes to do the events, you really want to make sure that people are going to be able to come to the event and enjoy the event, right? All right, so the third consideration that executive boards need to be making right now is they need to look at the finances of the group. Do you have enough money in the bank right now to fund the rest of the year's activities? But then actually you need more than that because you need some to get going for the fall. So does your group in the bank right now have liquid, it's all about cash flow. Do you have the cash flow needed to pay for all of the activities and programs through the end of the year? Anything that you might have like startup costs for the next year over the summer, and then through like probably October of next year. So like, do you have the funds for the next 10 months of the year? I know that with my PTOs, like we didn't have the fundraisers until like November, like October, November. So that's kind of late. So you need to make sure that you're going to have enough cash flow to pay for everything you want to do between now and then. If you don't have enough money, then you need to get a fundraiser on the schedule like right now. You need to figure out, again, the best timing of it. We're post-Christmas, so families have and post-holidays, families, buy a lot of gifts around this time, or they just haven't spent all the money, and so it's going to take a while for them to catch up. You do not want to be hitting them up February 1st for a fundraiser. Like, that is a bad idea. It is not going to go as well as if you did it a month later. But then, of course, you don't want to get it too far in the year to where people are like, oh my gosh, I've been asked for a million things already this year. I'm not participating in anything else. Like, that legit happens. So just be aware of those things. So now I kind of want to shift and talk about officer specific things that I think every officer should be doing. So if for all of you PTO presidents out there, this is for you. So listen up. PTA presidents, are you checking in with each of your officers and your chairs to make sure that they're doing their jobs okay, that they have everything they need, and that there are no roadblocks, that you're helping to ease any roadblocks in their way? Like, definitely make sure to do that. And I wouldn't assume, like, just because someone gave a good report at the last meeting, don't assume that they're doing okay. Like, legit, send them an email, send them a text, send them a Facebook message, whatever, catch them in the hall and say, hey, how's everything going? Do you need anything? What can I do to support you? Even if they don't need anything, they're going to appreciate being asked. Let me just say, and that will come in handy because this segues into the second part of the thing that you need to be doing as president, and that is setting up your nominating committee. So you need to get that bad boy going because pretty soon here you're going to be into election season, so you don't want to be scrambling at the last minute or having people sit there at the meeting and like looking around like, who's going to do what? Like, that is the crappiest way to get a position when you're all looking around, nobody's saying anything. You're like, oh, we need a president. You're all just like trying to hide, trying to be like, do not look my way. It's just not good. I may have volunteered to be president at a meeting like that, and it wasn't a good feeling. But it all worked out in the end, so it's fine. But if you as president are checking in with everybody and making sure that they feel supported, they're going to be a little more likely to say yes to their next position when they're asked. On the flip side, if you're just assuming everything's okay, oh my God, you could have somebody who's like, I am drowning here, but I am too embarrassed to ask, or I'm too busy to ask, or I didn't think, everybody thinks that everybody else is too busy to help them. When, yes, maybe that may be true, but it also could be that busy people make the time to help others reach their goals, and if it's a cause that they're passionate about. So, for example, I have one of my dearest friends. She is on the Board of Education here locally, and she is also the president of the PTA for our junior high. And she is like so stinking busy. And so at the beginning of the year, we didn't have like a membership chair for our PTA, and I was new to the school, and so I was like, oh, I'll do whatever. And she's like, okay, how about you be historian? And if you're not a PTA, then you might not know that just being a historian is like, you legit just track volunteer hours and like submit it at the end of the year. It is one of the easiest jobs ever. And I was like, I probably can do more to help her, because I felt bad that she was having to do everything, because as you know, if you're a PTA president and someone doesn't fill a role, it's your job to make sure that it gets done. So you either have to find somebody to do it or you have to do it yourself. And so I didn't want her to have to do it herself. And so I said, hey, like I can also do membership. And she's like, oh my gosh, that would be great. But she never was going to ask me because she thought that I was like way too busy myself, which in all honesty, I totally am. And at that point I had no business adding anything else to my schedule, but it's been okay. It's been fine, but she never would have asked. She just assumed too busy. But she really did need the help. So it's been good. So definitely presidents hopefully this is already decided on like who's in charge of your nominating committee by virtue of your bylaws, your standing rules. I know in our PTAs, it's the membership chair. So that's actually me for 2 different schools this year. So I've already been thinking about and talking to people. Like I already have the one treasurer set up for one PTA. Happens to be my husband, so that was an easy ask. But definitely get all of that in process so that, again, you're not sitting at that meeting where nobody wants to raise their hand and do anything, because that is not good. All right, next up, treasurer. This is another one, because I think being treasurer of a group is probably the second most time-consuming position next in line to president. So treasurers, you need to just like look at all of your stuff. Is it organized? Like now is the time to organize it, because you'll just be so much happier if you have the whole rest of the semester or the whole rest of the year rather, to like, if everything's all together. And so you want to be like filing away your receipts in an orderly fashion so that the auditor won't hate your guts because they won't have to like sift through all the receipts. You want to be making sure that everyone's been reimbursed for everything and that you have documentation to back everything up. Again, I talked about this earlier. You want to look at the cash flow. So like if no one has asked you what the cash flow situation of your group is, look at it, check it out, make sure it's fine. Look at the calendar and just give your best guess. A lot of times you can look to what was spent last year, and that'll be some information about what you're going to be spending this year. So definitely check that out. And just make sure all the finances are, generally everything's in order. Because again, it's a good time to do like a nice mini reset and refresh to make sure everything is all together. All right, membership chairs. You're gonna wanna reach out to any new families that have come into the school. Invite them to the next couple PTA meetings. And don't do it all at once. Don't say, you know, our meetings are in this state, this state, and this state. Like, do it every single month. Be like, hey, you know, like, just establish a relationship maybe on Facebook so that you can just send them a nice little text or a Facebook message and just say, hey, want to make sure you know the meeting is on Monday. Can you, you know, I'd love to see you there. I'm actually working on recruiting somebody for a PTA, and it's not even like I want her to do a job. I just want her to come. They're a new family. They had transferred from private school into public school, and she was really nervous about coming to the school for some reason. I guess because a lot of public schools get a bad rap for no good reason. Anyway, she was super nervous, and so a teacher friend at a different school introduced us by way of Facebook, and my friend was like, you know, she's just really unsure. She needs to know that it's okay. And so I've been talking with this one mom since October, trying to get her to come to meetings. So I just reach out every single month and I say, hey, you know, we'll just call her Marla. Hey, Marla, the meeting is, you know, next week. Please come. I'd love to see you. And then if it gets rescheduled or whatever, I tell her about that. And then I also, you know, just say, hey, if you need to come late, come late. There's like very few people at the meeting. It's not going to be a big disruption. You are not going to be embarrassed to be like walking in. So just like, come. I want to meet you. And then the other thing with new families, you need to make sure that they're getting all of your communications from the PTO. So make sure you have their email addresses. If your group sends out email newsletters, make sure that their kid is getting the flyer, you know, different flyers that gets sent home. Like just check in with them. It's another way to start establishing relationships with people so that the only time it's not that the only time you're talking to them is when you want their money for fundraising. Okay, so just be like a normal human being and reach out to people. And plus you might make a new friend, so that's like really good. Okay, for corporate promotions. So for corporate promotions, I consider this to be like box tops or Coke points or whatever stuff like that. You need just to look at the deadline. So for box tops, the submission deadline for the spring is March 1st. So be mindful of that. Because if your group is counting on a check to fund, well, I forget how quickly they come. I think it kind of depends on the volume of how many box tops are submitted. But depending on when you want to use that money, like don't blow the deadline because, you know, you don't want to waste any box tops that might expire, but then also you want to get that money in the bank so that you can use that money. And so it's not just like, oh, well, we have this amount coming, but you know, the box top submission was postmarked on March 2nd, so it's not going to count now until the fall. So yeah, just be mindful of that. Let me see what else I had. I think that was it. I just did like the main offices I could think of, and I kind of I didn't specifically talk about the fundraising chair, but I kind of touched on that earlier with the general exec, like what they should be looking at right now. So pretty much, I guess the whole point of this is just like, you got to look at everything and see where you're at. Just don't assume everything's going okay. Really be cognizant of your calendar, be cognizant of what else is going on, because families are busier now than ever, and it's just there's a lot of competition for attention of parents and students. So oh, I know one other celebration I forgot to mention. Okay, so next week, this is also something I'm really excited about because I've been working on something for months, and I've kind of told a couple people, but not really. So I think the vast majority of you have no idea what I'm talking about, but you are so gonna love it. So next week, I'm actually unveiling my brand new product. And because I think it's unfair just to drop that kind of a hint with nothing else, I will just give you a little nugget to chew on. And I'm not gonna say any more. You can't even bribe me to tell you more. You're just gonna have to wait and see because it's gonna be so fabulous. And that is, it's a better version of something I already offer, but like, and this is my well, I shouldn't even say that. People love it. You are so gonna love it because I love it and I'm in love with it. And I was like, oh, this is so good. And it's, I think, gonna help you so much more and be more supportive of you and what you're doing with your PTO. So I'm so excited to release it. Oh, and I'm getting some hearts and stuff. So good. I'm glad you guys are excited too. It's really hard. It's hard to, when you get so nerdy about stuff like this, that you're going to be like, really? This is what you're excited for? No, really. I think you're going to be really excited. You're going to be like, Christina, you have blown our mind with this. So I'm looking forward to that. So when is that happening? Next week. So just 1 week you have to wait until you get to see what it is. So I may or may not be dropping more links and pictures of things. Maybe on my Instagram. So if you follow me, how many of you follow me on Instagram? The PTO Answers. I gotta admit, I am not the best Instagrammer because it is really, for PTO, like, what do you want to see? Like, me working on, like, membership lists? That's not very engaging. I don't know. If you have any ideas of what you want me to feature on the Instagram, let me know. It's way easier for my organizing site. Y'all know I'm an organizer too, right? So that one I got. That's not a problem. But the PTO one, I'm like, but I'm going to put for sure some sneak peeks on there. And it just depends on like when I design them. And the other place that I will be doing sneak peeks is on the PTO Answers Facebook page. And I might share those into the group, but if you want to see them first, you should go on over to just search in Facebook for PTO Answers. And, you know, just so you have it and it'll pop up in your newsfeed. It'll be awesome like that. So, okay, I have talked enough. And you guys have all the information you need for right now. If there isn't anything, or if there's something I didn't cover, please pop a question in the comments here, and I will do my best to help you. So until next week, my friends, when I'm revealing this super fantastic product, I will see you then and have a great week. Okay, so take care and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.